Thanks everybody for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Jeff Andrews and I lead the NetSuite practice at Velosio. I know we have a number of companies represented on today's webinar. Many of them are clients of ours, and thanks for joining. I know many of the names that I see logged in. And we also have a number of folks that are either looking at NetSuite or many that are using NetSuite and we've not worked with directly. So welcome to everybody. We're going to spend nearly all the time today talking about a great feature in NetSuite that a lot of times we find is underutilized. There's a lot of things in NetSuite that could be used more, and one of those is related to NetSuite templates and the document generation tool. And so we're going to talk about that. I'm actually going to show you how to use it, and hopefully you'll take away some things that will be valuable to you and your organization. Since we do have a couple of folks on, actually a number of folks that have not worked with Velosio, please afford me just about 60 seconds. I want to give you some context on who Velosio is. So we are a company. We've been in the space for a long time. We help companies with business solutions and technology, most notably ERP, CRM, and business intelligence. We work with clients in just about every industry. From a NetSuite perspective, we are a NetSuite solution provider. So we do all things NetSuite. We license NetSuite, do architecture planning. We obviously implement and do integrations and development, ongoing support. And a part of the way that we support our existing clients is by offering webinars like this that are valuable and can help you leverage more NetSuite. And in case you're new to Velosio, we also have partnerships as a company with over 100 different organizations throughout our Microsoft Dynamics practices and our NetSuite practice, and you see a few of those on the far right. If you're not familiar with the Suite app store in NetSuite, you can go to suiteapp.com or click on the Suite app menu item when you're logged into NetSuite, and you'll see a lot of apps that can be valuable for very specific point solutions. And if you ever have a question, feel free to ask us about those. All right, well, let's dive in. This slide here is meant to show you all the different things that are native to NetSuite. And you'll see kind of a dark line there toward the bottom of the page. Everything above the dark line and not in green is all native. Every one of you on this webinar today have this functionality. The things in green and the things below the line you may have, depending on whether you license that and you need it. And we're going to specifically spend time on something in this CRM slice up here. Some of you do use some of the CRM capabilities for marketing automation, sales management, and servicing management around case management, knowledge base, things such as that. Regardless of whether you use NetSuite today for CRM, there's a feature in NetSuite that gives you the ability to build templates and generate documents, and that's what we're going to focus on. In fact, why this is beneficial if you're not using this today. Well, number one, it gives your team the ability to leverage NetSuite for doing things very quickly, whether that's a communication to a prospect or to a client. It just makes them more productive because what needs to be created, maybe a contract, or what needs to be sent, maybe an email, can be templatized and sent very quickly and easily. And I'll show you that. The other great thing, and I know hopefully a lot of you will grin or smile or maybe cry when I say this, is it helps bring consistency. We run into so many companies that come to us, and when we find out how they communicate or create documents, contracts, it's inconsistent. Or they have a Word template, maybe a sales contract, and when they update the new version, they email that out to everybody, and boy, they hope that everybody uses the latest version. Of course, that doesn't always happen, and it takes time. Then they got to, the sales rep or the person has to find that template and then edit it, update all the various variable elements in it, and that's just a great way to leverage this tool. The other thing is grammar. I know that we all think we're perfect at grammar, and we probably all know that we're not. So this is a great way to ensure that your team is using the right template and it's written the way you want. And you can choose then when to give them the ability to edit these. And some use cases, contracts and agreements. In fact, we use this for our NetSuite clients when we create a statement of work or a Velosio Master Services agreement. Over the last year or so, we've used it to create a mutual COVID agreement, COVID waiver, when we were going on site over the last year. But it can be used for so many more things: marketing and sales, for promotions, events, webinars like this, follow-up communications to conversations, project communication. If you're leveraging anything in NetSuite around the project capabilities, you can create project communications or even project updates or contracts. Finance communication, this can be very well used in the finance process for, NetSuite natively is obviously going to send out invoices and statements, but maybe your collections process includes the collections team being notified of those that are egregious in their past due invoices. and you prioritize those. Maybe you've got an automation that triggers those calls to be scheduled to the team members, kind of maybe another webinar for another day. But once they make those phone calls, you might want, if you get a commitment from them to make a payment, you might want to send an automated email or use one of these templates to easily send an email to affirm that commitment. So there are ways to leverage this throughout finance. Or maybe you want to use it for just client check-ins or surveys to send to clients and check in on how satisfied they are. So I'll let you kind of take that as a starting point. Hopefully, as we go through today, you'll think of other use cases throughout NetSuite and throughout the way you operate the business. So let's jump in. I'm going to stop the PowerPoint here. We're going to jump right over to NetSuite. Now, the first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to show you two different templates that you can create. One is focused on emails, and one is focused on letters, and think letters like contracts and agreements, things such as that. We're going to start with emails. Now, most of the setup of this is all in the Documents dropdown in NetSuite under Templates. And you'll notice here there is an ability to set up template categories. You don't have to do this, but if you do plan to build a lot of templates, this helps to organize them. And you'll see here in this database, we've got some sample categories like sales and prospecting, events, support, general communications. Again, not necessary, but you can set up that at the beginning if you'd like to, or down the road. So I'm going to first go into email templates, and you'll see here we've got a lot of different templates that we've built. We're going to go in and we're going to create a new template. And if you've used any of the marketing automation capabilities or ever built an email, you know that there's this WYSIWYG creator here for you to create email templates. And this editor here is how you build email for, say, mass communications, maybe a marketing email to your clients, or building a one-on-one template. So think of this scenario as a one-on-one template. We want to build it for some function in the organization so that if they pull up a contact record, they can select this template and send it off right away. So we're going to keep it really simple at first. First thing we need to do is we need to name our template. So we're gonna name this upcoming webinar. So we give it a name, and let's come over here and we're gonna give it a description. Of course, this is like just a good best practice. It's not required. All right. The first thing you have to do is select what record type is this template going to be used for. Entity is going to be anything like a contact, a customer, a vendor, whereas transaction is going to be for things like opportunities or invoices. And for those of you that work in NetSuite, you probably kind of get how this is going. Custom record, if you have any custom objects that you've created in NetSuite. Cases is the case management and service management capabilities. And project is for if you're leveraging any of the project management capability. Most of the use cases we're going to use today are going to be entity. So I'm going to select entity. In this case, we're thinking about a contact record. We're going to give this a subject line. Since this is an email, this will be the default subject line. And then down below, we can build our email. Now, I'm going to copy and paste a little bit of text over there just to save from having to type this. So here I've got, webinar information and the link to the webinar. If you've used this tool, you've got all tools capable to format, even insert images. You can insert links. I've got a link already that I pasted in here, but if you do need to enter a new link, just simply place your cursor where you want that link, click the link button, place your link there, and the link will be inserted. You can even rename that link if you don't want it to look like that. You can say register here or something like that right from the link box here. Just change the display text. All right, here's where these templates really get valuable. You'll notice right above this bar here with all my formatting, I have the ability to insert various fields. And because I selected this is an entity record type template, I can select those entity records throughout NetSuite. So we're going to select contact because we're sending this to a contact. And what I want to do is I want to insert their first name. So I'm going to select right here at the beginning of the record. And I see all my contact fields, and I'm going to select first name and add a comma. Then down below here, I can come in and we can also insert, I can hard code this with my name, but what's valuable if you've got a team that might be leveraging this template is we can change this field type to the user. So that means the user logged in sending this record. And now we have the ability to put, say, their first name, their full name, and we have the ability to put their email signature. And this is something set up in user preferences. So I'm going to go to preferences, and I'll show you where this is in just a minute. So if you're not familiar with preferences and where to put email signatures, you know where to do that. And that will put my formatted email signature on the email. So now this is going to be an email to this contact, first name. Of course, it'll send it to their email address, and I'll show you how this goes. Okay, so there is our template. A few other things I'll show you. You don't need to do these. These are optional. You can restrict access to this template to certain groups within NetSuite if you so choose. On the marketing, you have a couple of options here. You can add an unsubscribe link when this is used in bulk merges, so sending this to groups of people. If you have any dynamic or static groups, that won't come into play with one-on-one emails, which is what we're going to test here in just a minute. And then this is where you can select that category. So I'll go ahead and select the category events. All right, we're going to save this. So that's how easy it is to create that template. And there it is under under documents, templates, email templates, and there it is. All right, let's go ahead and pull up a contact record. I'm going to pull up this individual named Craig Andrews. And now that I have the contact record open, I can go to this drop down to create new. You may be familiar with this. This is where you can create a new record of some type on this contact. And I'm going to go new email. And it's going to pop open this new email window. And you'll notice it's already pre-filled who's receiving it. If you want to add other recipients, you can. On the template tab, I'm going to go to my template and select the one we just built. And notice it pre-fills everything. And I can even preview this if I'd like. Notice it's pre-filled his name, my name, and my email signature. And if I click merge and send, out that email goes. And within a matter of 10 seconds and a couple of clicks, I've sent an email. So I am going to pop over to my email. I'm sending this to myself. And let me pull that over here. And you will see right here, this email just came in. And there it is with all the various information that we put in that template. Okay, now that, in just a couple of minutes, you see how easy it is to create a template. Think email templates that your organization uses throughout operations. And if you could build that template, give that to your sales team, marketing team, operations team, finance team, whatever it may be, now you've got the ability to give them speed, consistency, and ensure that certain things are written a certain way that you might choose, whether that's a certain tone or just proper grammar. I mentioned in preferences, so let me just show you where that is before we jump into our second example, which is we're going to get into some fun, even more complex letter templates. On your home icon, if you come down to set preferences, you may be familiar, this is where you can set preferences for you as a user for all sorts of things. Appearance, various activities and alerts. You can even link, if you're using a voice over IP phone system, it's very easy to make click to dial work. I guess I'm getting off on a tangent there. But in the general tab, there is a signature box, and this is where each user can create their email signature. And it can be simply just plain text, or you'll notice I've put some HTML in here because that is what gives it this formatting here for bolding, linking, and sourcing my company logo. So if anybody wants to grab a screen capture of that, let me know. If after the webinar you want to email either me or somebody on the team, be happy to send you this code as a sample, and then you can update that based on your company and provide that to any of your users. But that is under the home icon, set preferences, signature. All right, excellent. Let's move on to our second type of template. And this is going to be a letter template. We're going to go back to documents, templates, and letter templates. And this is where you can build templates that are a little more complex that might generate, say, an agreement or some kind of contract. Anything, start with a Microsoft Word template. Now, I'm going to show you how to create one from scratch. We're going to go to New, and let me walk you through the process. So the first thing is we're going to name this. So let's name this. We're just going to name it Webinar Sample Letter Template. Again, give it a good description. So when you get a lot of these, you remember what this is for. Again, our record type is either going to be entity or one of the others. If this is for a customer, a contact, a prospect, a lead, a vendor, that's going to be an entity record. Or if this is for an invoice, some other kind of transaction, an opportunity, if you're using this for sales opportunities, that is a transaction record. So we're going to go ahead and we will make this a entity again, because we'll do this off the company record. We give it a subject. Now, since we're creating a document, the subject is more of just, since we're not emailing this necessarily, it's creating a document. This will help name the document. So we'll say, well, we're just going to give it the same name as up above. All right. Now, when you create these for the first time, what I'm going to show you is how you download the merge fields that are available in these templates. And once you do a couple of these, you probably won't need to download this again. Maybe store this wherever you build your templates so you have it for reference. But on this new letter template, there's this link called download the sample source file. And what this helps to do for you is it gives you an Excel spreadsheet of all the fields available for merging into your documents. So if I simply click there, it's going to download that document. And I'm going to jump over. I actually already have this open. I'm going to jump over to Excel and show you what this document looks like. And this is it. It's pretty simple. It's a heck of a lot of fields across this top two rows of this Excel spreadsheet. And when I say a lot, you can see how far this goes over. So this is useful to some degree. You can certainly do a search and find in here. So if we search for maybe name, there's a field that has name in it. There's the username of the user. There's the contact last name. There's the nickname. There's the full name. There's the first name or company name, etc. So you get the idea here. You don't really need to use this too much, but I wanted to show it to you because when we build our template in Microsoft Word, you'll understand where our feed for inserting a field comes from, and it comes from this file here. Notice the file name NetLedger sample header file. And for those of you that are longtime NetSuite users, there's a little bit of trivia there on what the term NetLedger means. You can Google that one. It's a little bit of NetSuite trivia. All right. Now that we've downloaded our sample source file and merge fields, I'm going to jump over to Microsoft Word, and this is where we're going to build. I'm going to start with a new template. Okay, so I have a blank document in Microsoft Word. And if anybody's ever built a merge document, this is going to be very familiar to you. If not, it's pretty easy, and we even have a tip sheet that I can send you after the webinar if you'd like. But we open up a new document, we go to Mailings, and we select Start Mail Merge and select letters. If you've ever done mail merge letters or envelopes or labels, anything like that, it's the same process. Once we select mail merge letters, we can select our recipients. That would be common if you were actually creating mail merge letters with some kind of source file with people's names and addresses. In this case, what we're going to do is use our existing list, and we're going to select that file we just downloaded from NetSuite that I showed you in Excel. And the reason we do that, and it's going to say, what kind of file is this? How is it delimited? I'm just going to hit OK. Now up here at the top, you'll notice the other icons become available, and this Insert Merge field dropdown shows me all the fields that were in that Excel spreadsheet. Now, this is great because I can come right in here and just select that field. It is a long list, so I'm going to show you two ways you can insert fields in these templates. The first way is I can scroll down through here, and let's say I want to insert first name. Let me see if I can find first name here, and it is right here. NL for everything starts with NL, NetLedger, NetSuite, first name. So I'm going to select that, and it just inserted the first name field. All right, now I'm going to insert a comma, and we're going to say, here is our template in Word. Think this is where if you've got a contract, and I'm going to show you a more complex example in a minute, but I think the simple example will get you started. So this is where you can copy and paste all your text. Maybe it's a letter, maybe it's a contract. If you've already got a contract, you would actually, in Word, you would start with that as the template and add your merge fields into that document. But you'll get an idea here for us to do a simple example first. Okay, so we add all of our text here. And let's say now we want to say that we want to add a user field. So the second way, in addition to this drop down here of inserting the username, is if you've ever done these before, you can go to the Insert on Microsoft Word, and over here on the far right is the ability to insert a field. The reason that's kind of nice is because if I click Insert and go to Mail Merge, Merge Field, I can just type the name of the field. Maybe I go back over here and search for, what is that username? Okay, it's not that one. It's that one, NL username. Okay, great. I'm going to type NL username right after merge field and hit OK. And it inserted it. So that's another way of inserting a field. It kind of just depends on what you find most useful. Again, you've got all different kinds of fields here, depending on the entity that you're pulling in, and you can see quite a bit of those here. All right, I think you get the idea here. Let's go ahead and say we've added our inserted fields. You can also, by the way, you can insert a date here, and that will always pull in today's date when you create this template if you insert that as an object here. All right, let's save this. And I'm going to save this out here as webinar sample letter template. You do need to save it as a doc file. NetSuite only recognizes .doc, not .docx. So just make a note there when you save this, save as doc. Okay, now that we've got it saved, I'm going to come back over to NetSuite. We named it, we selected our entity type, gave it a subject. Now we're going to upload this file. So I click the plus. I'm going to navigate to my file. There it is right there at the top, webinar sample letter template.doc, and upload it. Click save, and you'll see right there it's stored in this letter template. I'm going to click save. All right, so we have our webinar sample letter template down here at the bottom. Now what I have the ability to do, we'll go back to Craig Andrews, and we'll actually go to the company record, Velosio. And from the company record, I'm now going to click the plus symbol, and I'm going to go to letter. And so here, think whatever templates, letter documents, Word documents you use in the organization, this is how easy it is to now send one of those or create one of those. So from the customer record or the contact record, click plus, depends on what this relates to. Select the template from the dropdown and click merge. And within just a couple of clicks, in about 5 seconds, I've now created that document. And if I come over to my downloads and open that document up, you can see there, and I obviously did something wrong in inserting the first name, but you get the idea here that it inserted the date, the details, and the username, and there's my template. So now I can go back and see, what did I do wrong on you know what? I should have created this from a contact record because contacts have first names, companies don't. So that's my mistake in creating this from a customer record. Certainly if this was a customer document like a contract, we would insert the company name perhaps at the header of that contract. And I'll show you a couple examples of that in just a minute. Now, one of the other great things about these templates are when you create these, and I'll show you back on Craig Andrews when we sent that email just a minute ago, and here on Velosio that we created that merge document. If you scroll down to your sublists and go to communication and files, you'll notice it will store those files and messages right here on the record. So you can see just a few minutes ago, we created a webinar sample letter template. It stores a copy of that right here. And webinar for another day, if you do create any kind of contracts, you can send those from NetSuite if you're leveraging something like DocuSign. And once signed, that signed copy will automatically be stored here on the customer record. Or if you do that from an opportunity record, maybe it's a sale document from the opportunity record. All right, let me jump back over to Craig Andrews just to show you the same idea on the messages we sent. So you can see here, just a few minutes ago, we sent Craig at 12:14 that don't miss our upcoming webinar. And we can even view that and see what that email looks like. But you get a full history of anything you've done or created with these templates, email templates, or letter templates. All right, so we talked about how to create the Word template, how to insert your merge fields, a couple different options there. Again, think about when you're building your template, are you building this for a contact, something you'll do with a person, or are you doing it for something you'll do with a customer? Like for us, our master services agreement is a document with, an agreement with a client. So we build that with fields related to that customer record in NetSuite. All right, I'm going to open up a little bit more complex version of a template. And so let me pop back over to Word here. And I've got one open here, which is our statement of work at Velosio for NetSuite projects. And you'll see here I've got a Word document. It's about 6 pages. I even have an image for the header page or the opening page. And then down here, you'll notice on the header page, we have the company name and the email of the person we're sending this to, this proposal or the statement of work. On the next page, it's automatically inserting today's date. You'll notice that's a kind of a field if we hover over it. We have the contact name, who we're sending it to, company name, address, city, state, zip. And you can even put these merge fields right in the middle of a paragraph. So here we've got the name of the project. Notice that's a NL cust body. That means that's a custom field that we've created for the project name. And you're probably familiar with custom fields, very easy to create. And then you can leverage all those on these merge documents or templates as well. We have a little bit of background. We have a field called background that pulls in a little background on that company. We copy and paste usually from the company's website, a little bit about what they do. And then as I scroll down, you'll see we pull in the company name throughout many different sections of this document. And we even pull in things like how many hours this project is, what the fees are. And then down in the signature area, we pull in the company name for the place that the company will sign. So that's a little bit more of a more involved, or again, it doesn't. Once you get the hang of these, you can take your existing documents and create these within just a few minutes. Save those, and you'll notice here if I go back to NetSuite and go to my documents, letter templates, you'll see where that statement of work template is. If I go into edit, you see there's the file and the name of the document. And just to give you another sample, if I go back to the company record for Velosio, and we want to create a statement of work, we go to sales, and we say new opportunity, and we'll give this a name. And a projected total. We'll save this. So from the opportunity record right here, we can do the same thing. We can click on the plus symbol, go to letter, and then all of our sample documents are right here, including that statement of work. So hopefully that gives you a pretty good idea for how to apply this to your business and all those use cases that you could be using this for. Just a couple of other reminders and tips. Entity records are things like prospects, customers, contacts. Transactions are things like opportunities, invoices. One of the other nice things about this, let me go back to Craig Andrews for a minute. When you're sending these templates, you click on new email template. There is additional functionality. Once you select the template, I'll show you another template we have here called Suite World 2021. This is an event, but you can have images, etc. The other thing you can do is it gives you the ability to add attachments. And that can be maybe a sales attachment. So if I click on attachment files that I have in our document library here, we have some, let's go to sales documents as a folder, and we have a feature sheet, a NetSuite feature sheet. So your sales team, if you've got your important documents for sales, marketing, operations, etc., upload those in the library, and then you can quickly add those. But notice here that I can even also create and automatically send any of those templates in Word that there was the statement of work. Let's see, our COVID waiver or an NDA. And when I merge and send this email, and I don't have to necessarily select a template here. I could just select type, hey, here's the COVID waiver or the NDA. Come over here and select that template, and it will merge and send an email that along with any attachments that I've added to that individual. So I'll click merge and send. And once that pops over to my email here, I'll pop that open. So another nice feature of just being able to send these things with just a few clicks. And again, if I come down and refresh my contact record here, if I come down to the sub list down at the bottom and click on messages, there's the one we sent just a second ago to join us at Suite World. And notice the two attachments are also shown. So I know when I sent what, who sent it, and what was sent. And if I go over to my email and open up that email, there's the email with those two attachments. Here's the PDF, just to give an example, etc. So lots of capability there. Hopefully this is spurning some ideas and will give you some ways that you and your team can be much more productive. All right, last few things before I take a look at the chat window. If you do have any questions, please go over to the chat window and pop those in the chat window, and we'll open up for questions here in just 1 minute. But I just want to touch on a couple of other things. In the templates dropdown, you will notice there are fax templates. I haven't run across many clients that are using fax templates, so if you have a need there, let us know, but I don't think that's an area that's used all that often anymore. There are PDF templates. The kind of pros and cons of PDF templates. You need Adobe Acrobat, not just Reader, but the full version of Adobe Acrobat to create these. That's fine. The other great pro of this is that if you ever have a a document that you want to create to where maybe your sales rep or the client can't modify it, meaning when you create a letter template like we did a statement of work, it's going to create a merged Word document. Your sales rep could then modify the language in that agreement or whatever it is. Maybe you want that, maybe you don't. Now, they can always save that Word document, export it to a PDF before sending it to a customer. But if you want to force it when you create the merge to being a PDF, it can't be modified, the PDF templates here are a way to do that. Creating a PDF template is a little bit more involved. And if you have a need there, just email me or anybody on our team, and we'll be happy to kind of share how that's done. It's not hard once you've done it a couple times, but it is a little bit more involved than a Word template. And then your marketing templates, these are things that you'll typically use for mass emails. And in fact, you'll notice here, if I open up, let's say this template here, many of you on this call, this webinar, got a copy of our August newsletter update sharing a number of things in the NetSuite world that looked like this, 2021.2 and Suite World and a tip of the month and some other things, this webinar. So those are things that you'll typically do for mass emailing, groups, or dynamic lists. If you're not familiar with dynamic lists, it's a phenomenal feature here under lists, relationships, groups. And this is an area in NetSuite where you can create dynamic lists so that in real time, NetSuite gives you access to a real-time updated list at all times. So your marketing team wants to send something, your sales team, you want to send something to all your clients. You can even get real fine-tuned on these and create a dynamic list for clients who haven't purchased anything in the last 6 months. I mean, these are awesome for you to really easily send out a broadcast communication to very specific audiences. So ask us about dynamic lists if you're not familiar with those. But that is what under templates, where marketing templates are housed or created. All right, we've covered a lot. We talked about building email templates. We talked about letter templates. Start those in Word or open up your existing document. Start a merge. You can select as a recipient the file that we downloaded from that page in Letters. So again, go to Letters and New, and you can hit that download button. That'll give you the ability to, in a drop-down menu, insert those fields. I also showed you how to insert the field by using Insert Field, Merge Field. And then we uploaded that document in the template and then showed some samples of those, both emails and letter templates. All right, well, I hope that really gave you some ideas on how to leverage this in your business. Let me open up the floor for questions. And if you would, I believe you have access to the chat window or the Q&A. You can use either one. I do see some questions coming in. So let's see, it looks like from Michelle, can NetSuite create a simplified contract that would be recorded on the financial side of NetSuite once it's signed? So good question, Michelle. I might need a little bit more detail to kind of fully answer your question, but definitely, yes, you can create a contract. And when anybody on your team that has access to that template creates a contract, it will save that as a contract on the record that they're creating it from, typically a customer record or an opportunity if it's related to a sale. Now, if you're wondering if it will book the financial transaction, the way NetSuite works from an opportunity to a sales order is an opportunity. If I'm a sales rep, I add specific items or products to that opportunity. And when I mark it as closed won, I can then push it down the process of creating a sales order, which can then, of course, create invoicing and the financial transactions related to that sale. So, Michelle, hopefully that helps a little bit. And I think I see some follow-up questions on that. Would it be a template? So if it's a contract, typically your sales rep would start it from an opportunity. They'd add the items on the opportunity that they're selling with the appropriate prices and discounts, et cetera. They would create the contract from that opportunity record, and yes, that would be a template. And if you are using something like DocuSign, DocuSign does have a pre-built free NetSuite integration that we can deploy for you. It literally doesn't take that long to deploy that and get it configured. If you're not using DocuSign, there are a few other tools out there. Ask us about those, and we can show you how to best do that. But you probably noticed in our instance, we do have DocuSign embedded, and we can send those directly from DocuSign from the opportunity record. And when they sign it, it will store it as a signed copy, signed contract on that customer record or opportunity record. From there, the salesperson or whoever has access would then push that opportunity through, the sales order and on, so that the transaction gets booked from a financial perspective. So, Michelle, hopefully that answers your question. Feel free to follow up with us, and we can give you a little bit more detail on that scenario. Okay, another question coming in. Feel free to keep typing these in either the chat or the question window. Another question came in about, I showed how you can make an attachment and you can attach, say, feature sheets. Maybe it's a sales PDF or an event PDF, or maybe even something like if you use NetSuite for sending communications to job candidates, things like that. Then you can, under documents, you'll notice files here. If we go into our file cabinet, we have a number of different folders that we've created. Some of these are, if you go into your file cabinet, you'll see some of these are native right out of the box NetSuite. But we created a folder for sales documents, and we uploaded. You may remember when I selected that dropdown, there were 3 options. We have 3 in here: NetSuite feature sheet, a feature sheet for something we have called Red One, and we also have some pre-built Paycor integration. If you're familiar with Paycor, they're a leading provider of HR payroll solutions. We have our Paycor pre-built integration feature sheet. Great, because it gives our sales team and marketing team the ability to very quickly follow up with requests or even send this out to somebody that we know is using Paycor. So that is where those are stored. You can just come right in to your library, create a folder for various things, and then store those there. And then those automatically become accessible to those email templates, or not even templates, but if you go in to create an email from a contact or a customer, you can go to the attachments dropdown and select any of these attachments that are available in the file cabinet. One other tidbit here that kind of relates to the question that came in. Usually your company logo images are out here, and you'll notice down here that we've got a couple of our logos. And if you go in and you can view that logo, or if you go into edit mode, it will give you the URL to that logo. Now, you probably have a logo on your website too. You can source that URL, but this is great because if you do want to have any images, like I had that Sweet World image, those can all be uploaded to your file cabinet in the images folder. There's the Sweet World image that I showed. And then you can just grab the URL and source those right into your templates or emails so that they load properly right in that email template. There's a question from Crystal that says, remind me if this cost anything or have to license anything. No, this is all included in everyone's license. So all the CRM functionality that we showed on that slide and all of this template and document generation functionality is available to you. So it's all in your instance. If you don't see some of these menus, that means that your administrator, whoever has administrator access, the role that you've been given, you just don't see it. So ask them to make sure you've got permissions for that. And then you'll see all these areas around the file cabinets and document templates. All right. Well, thanks again for your time. Hope you grabbed some ideas there, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great weekend.